pretty much the last time you'll be seeing this 2-barrel to be on the engine. And next time you see it, you're gonna see the 4-barrel AVS Carter, by the way, on this motor. And over there, I'm making some final adjustments on the carburetor of the transfer slots so that the transfer slots are square. So this is the final adjustment that I was talking about with the Carter AVS, is setting up the transfer slots. Is make it so that the transfer slot all the way back there is square with the butterfly valve. So it's on its cold fast idle. Gotta bring it all the way down. There you go. Now that's completely closed down. You can see that the transfer slot is just a square in shape, which is what I'm looking for this car to run this carburetor run fairly smoothly on this motor. The game plan, well, I'm just gonna get, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. I'm pretty sure I heard that quote somewhere. I believe the Carter AVSs, they have a thick gasket, a little spacer insulator gasket that goes between the manifold, the insulator gasket, and then the AVS, or the Carter carburetor that's going to go on top. There's some pictures I am most likely able to scrounge up. I'll post it if I can. It's got like that little tin gasket, and then it's got a fiber gasket, and then the insulator. It's got a lot of gaskets for some odd reason. I believe it's for heat, to keep the heat away from the carburetor. Now, fortunately, this compressor might get in the way when I'm trying to heave this entire manifold out of the way, because this thing is pretty heavy. And this is around maybe 38, maybe 40 pounds. Yeah, not fun. And you know, I don't really have much in the way of muscle in this department. So I'm gonna try my best to probably stand inside the engine compartment if I can somehow. I can probably stand on top of the control arms, both sides, and just heave this out. I think we are ready to. Well, actually, you know, we are never ready for anything really. This is uncharted territory. I have no idea. You know. Hint, I have no idea what I am doing here. I have some idea, but probably close to no idea. Carburetor off, spacer off, valve cover off, put the rocker shaft off and order them so that I know which side is which. Put the valve covers back on so that no little metal shavings is going to get inside the valve cover in any way. And hell, I mean, it's got, Carter AVS has got a lot to prove, especially in the winter months. I drove this 2-barrel, no problem. Now we can also just say screw it with the 4-barrel manifold and just put an adapter. No, I won't do that. Don't worry. Do visit this channel called Thunderhead 289, where Luke, I believe that's what the gentleman's name is. Luke puts a 4-barrel carburetor onto a 2-barrel manifold with an adapter, and that was pretty cool, I gotta say. I'll link it in the description if I can. So what I'm doing here is I'm butting up 2 of these nuts right here up against each other, and I tighten them so that they're pretty much friction locked to each other. This will allow me to unscrew or remove these studs. See how I'm able to unscrew it now? Now I'm going to be doing this for the rest of the remaining 3, so I'm just going to cut to the chase of when I have the ignition coil off and whatnot. If you can see from over there, this AC compressor, there's a huge bracket that sits on top of the manifold. And I'm wondering if the manifold that I bought may not even bolt up here properly because this AC compressor bracket is in the way. Now, of course, I didn't account onto this being in the way. I just kind of wanted to piece things up like a B block or B low B block would fit a B intake manifold, you know, so sort of like that. I guess I didn't look far enough to the surrounding piece of the puzzle or piece of the parts that's going to be potentially strapped onto the intake manifold. And this is one of those things I didn't expect, let's say, is well, the AC compressor bracket. If you can see this entire piece right here, it just totally in the way of getting the manifold off. And I'm hoping I can get by without it causing too much trouble. But then again, it is it's potentially not an issue, but it's just, you know, just saying there is that concern or notion. Valve covers are loosely fitted on, kind of mocked up in a way. I think we're almost ready to remove the manifold, and I'm still kind of wary of this little AC compressor bracket, but we'll try to get by without removing any of it.
So this is a little bit of a splice video, I guess you could say, just kind of for me to apologize because the port work or the gasket matching procedure I was doing on the head side of, you know, the engine is the footage got corrupted due to my hard drive just pretty much crapping out on me. So I do apologize for that, and another thing is I do apologize if I sound a little bit strange nasally, because I kind of got sick a couple days ago and I'm still congested. But I just wanted to say, you know, I really apologize for that. I just, you know, this was one of those videos where I just wanted everything to go right, and it kind of went the other way. It just went completely wrong. My footage completely got corrupted. So it really hurts me. It probably doesn't hurt as much as you guys, but aside from that, I'm gonna go over what the carburetor I decided to go with and what kind of carburetor I switched to instead of the AFB. Also, another thing I wanted to apologize for is I believe I asked some of you on what I should do with this intake manifold, and then some of you have said paint it, but I didn't follow through with that. So yeah, I do apologize for that. I have no excuse. So the main thing why I didn't go with the AFB is because this is like a 67 Carter AFB, and honestly, I think the main issue was that these bolt holes, these mounting studs here, would not line up with the current 4-barrel manifold that was on the motor. Now you may think, well, just, you know, drill them out, drill out some additional holes to accommodate this carburetor. But I kind of thought again, you know, this carburetor was already kind of small for its size, so then I think stepping up to a different type of carburetor wouldn't be too bad, like an AVS. You know, an AVS has that little air valve flapper right here, or chuck valve. This one is one of the earlier carburetors where it doesn't have the air valve secondary down at the bottom. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. So this is a really old Carter AFB. Anywho, so main problem was the studs wouldn't line up on the manifold, and me being a close to an amateur on modifying carburetors and whatnot, is I wasn't gonna risk, you know, botching this carburetor up just to potentially make it work with mediocre results. Pointed out on the other video that to make the mechanical choke work, I needed a different manifold. These carburetors, I'm already learning quite enough of these, is different year carburetors require a identical or same year manifold. So this Carter AFB here only will work with like a 60, I think it's like a 64 to 67 manifold. I have a 68 to 69 manifold where everything was completely changed toward the AVSs. So I kind of had like a little mismatch of parts. So the carburetor doesn't go on, choke wouldn't work. I was just, you know, screw it. Let's just cut our losses and just get another Carter AVS, an AVS this time. If you wanted to know the little nitty-gritty information on that, this carburetor is a 3856S, and the date is a B5, and I believe that is 1967. I think the least I can do for all of you guys that kind of stuck with me and kind of unfortunately got bamboozled right to the very end, so at least see the 4-barrel on the car, and it does run and start. I'm still adjusting the linkage here so that the cold idle will work better, but really this cold idle kind of works, idles pretty good either way. Here's your choke down here and 4-barrel manifold here. This is another one of the footage that has been corrupted. When I put the 4-barrel manifold on, I was recording then, and the footage is lost, unfortunately. Now, I tried to mock up the carburetor how it was from the factory, but there's some differences. I believe I said there's a tin gasket, and then a gasket, and then an insulator, and then another gasket, and then a manifold. Right here, I'm working with a gasket, the insulator, and then another gasket because my studs aren't too long. And I mean, the carburetor's on there, don't get me wrong, but that insulator is a fiber one. It's very porous. So I think last time when I was trying to figure out if I was getting a vacuum leak or not around the manifold and the carburetor, there was indeed a massive vacuum leak of biblical proportions. And I have this gasket over here to replace it, or insulator gasket, excuse me. Let's see. So I'm gonna put this on some other time later. This is the insulator gasket that Edelbrock sells. The part number is 9266. And it includes these extended studs, as you can see here. So I'm going to put that on some other time later. The motor runs fine with the other fiber gasket because I can crank down on the base mounting nuts, which I'm kind of wary of doing because it's probably going to crack the base again. Because after cleaning up this carburetor, which has been rebuilt, you notice that right back here there's a weld spot. So this carburetor lived a very, very rough life. It broke off and probably got welded back on and put right back in service. This carburetor has been through hell. But this one's a little bit of a jury rig setup because I don't really have the correct parts necessary. And this is one of these cars or these years where it doesn't have a kickdown linkage. that has a little slit and slides forward. This one is just direct connection with the throttle with the transmission controls down there with the linkage. So this is one of the very early styles. Anywho, this is another kit that I use with Edelbrock. It's a automatic transmission extension kit that I believe the number was 1805. If I find the number again, I'll post it up on the screen. And I added another spring here. I know it looks really jank, but I added another spring here just to kind of loosen some tension on this big long spring right here, because every time I give it gas, it's very, very stiff, and then it gives her foot a workout. Let's just say that. So I did that, so it feels closer to stock. But yeah, this is kind of an apology video because all my footage got corrupted in the end, which is very unfortunate. But this is the manifold and the carburetor on, and it's well, honestly, I did a couple wide open throttle sessions just a few days back, and I'm actually surprised on how well this carburetor sounds like the quadrajets or the thermo quads. When you go wide open throttle, they go whoop, you know that. I think you guys know that particular sound when I say quadrajets or thermo quads. This carburetor makes almost an identical noise. Now, another thing you may be wondering is, where's the air cleaner? Well, the stock air cleaner is not going to work. This one is 5 1/8 inch neck size on this carburetor, so I'm going to need to get just a completely different air cleaner, really. But me driving around for maybe a couple days and listening to this carburetor just unsilenced as it is, it's a very different experience, I'll tell you that much. Let's see, what am I let's see, what am I missing here? The carburetor and the linkage has been adjusted to near spec, but my specifications was mostly just trial and error, because just pretty much everyone, I mean not everyone, but some people on the for C bodies only forum, which that's where I kind of where I'm at a few days or so. My username on for C bodies onlys is Sir Dodge a lot. Sir Dodge a lot. Yeah, I know, strange name again. But they always said, well, you could just get like those Edelbrock kits that accommodate this throttle linkage. But the problem is, the throttle linkage that they're talking about is not the one where it's earlier on the 68 and 67 versions, where it has that little sliding rod. Mine doesn't. And nobody would have a kit, or nobody even have like some kit to accommodate this. It was very strange. So I was kind of in the dark here. Well, I'm just gonna refer to my manual and see what that says, because a Carter AVS in a, let's see, the Carter AV that's sitting over there is very similar in the shape. Like, its footprint is nearly identical. Just to point out that this is, for the most part, not permanent, especially if I'm going to take this car to a drag strip or something like that to get some ETs down. This hose will probably need to be changed to a solid line. What I'm going to do here, just once again, I don't really want to sound condescending here, but this is going to be a little bit of a reward for sticking me for so long. I'm going to start the motor And pretty much that's it, because if I do rev it, it's probably going to backfire or something like that. I probably can rev it lightly if I roll into it slowly so that it doesn't bog. But there you go. So this is first start of the day. This is a cold start. I haven't got the fast idle cam set yet, so it probably just kind of reverts to the hot idle, which, I mean, it still sounds fine though. I will say the motor sounds much more throaty, even at idle. Hope you guys heard that. I'm going to keep the revving to a minimum because it's still cold and I don't want it to wash the cylinders down with fuel and such. But yeah, it runs and idles pretty good. So that's pretty much it on this four barrel manifold to 4-barrel swap. Now I think the driving videos are going to be on a separate video. This is just kind of a small apologetic video, really. But anywho, the carburetor runs fine, the motor runs fine, you know, no harm, no done. I will say there was some difficulty getting the carburetor or the car to run with this carburetor, and you know what the problem was? The accelerator pump was fitting too snug against the inside the walls of the well, or the accelerator pump well. So every time it tries to retract, it wouldn't allow it to fuel to come in at all, which is kind of strange, even though there's a check bulb right underneath the pump. What I did here was I used the original old accelerator pump and put it into this one and put it into here, and that kind of sorted out my lean start issues. And yeah, you should have seen what was going on. It's like I would start the motor and it would start fine, and then it just die out, and then if I try to give it revs, it backfire at the exhaust, which, I mean, backfire, or actually, yeah, backfire out the intake, which kind of just tells me it was running lean or the timing was off. But my timing has been reset to 10 degrees before top dead center. But then after some adjustments from the carburetor running fine now, I reset it back to around 15 to maybe 18. And thankfully this motor has a really low compression. So, I mean, from the factory it's like 9-to-1 or something like that. So it's kind of like got its own little natural detonation protection. And pre-ignition heat protection, I guess. Anywho. Yeah, so this carburetor was kind of finicky to get started because of the brand new parts that I put into it. And I believe the accelerator pump that I received was from Mike's Carburetor Parts. Well, tread lightly if you're gonna use everything new parts on a carburetor rebuild, because this carburetor was definitely, it's definitely using some old parts in there. Accelerator pump, choke pull off, whatnot. Yeah, a lot of the original stuff is in there. Aside from the floats. Actually, no, the floats are original as well. I just reset the floats to proper spec. The carburetor floats were completely off. One was like dangling all the way down, and then one was like all the way up. It was just completely wrong. I'm actually will be surprised if it was running any good at all on the previous motor. So the studs are probably going to get changed at a later on date, but the car runs fine. And I think I'm going to be adjusting the air fuel mixture, because I believe it's set a little bit too rich, and the air bleed screws one turn out from seat, which is good. Yes, and you can hear that. It's a damn jet. It always flies around when I'm recording. I believe these mixture screws, I kind of got them roughed in, but they're 3 turns out of seat. Yeah, this motor kind of likes it rich. So I'm gonna adjust the carburetor a little bit more with the vacuum gauge and such, but really, we'll see how it goes. Now, another thing I did forget to mention was the air cleaner that I'm gonna go for is most likely is going to be a velocity stack, and then it's going to be the top piece of the air cleaner is going to be a filtered version, so it allows as much air as possible. I'll post a picture if I find it on the air cleaner that I'm talking about. So honestly, with this, but another thing is with the science of the air cleaner, I mean the velocity stack is it doesn't come into play until you're at high RPM. So this technically not being a natural high revving engine, it'll come into play, especially probably at the drag strip, because you're just gonna be, matting it to the floor. I think it does it for this installation of this video. Next video is pretty much going to be all about just some wide open throttle romps here and there, so that you guys can kind of hear the quadrajet or the thermoquad-esque type intake noise, which it doesn't get any more, it doesn't get any more legit than this, because it doesn't have an air cleaner, nothing blocked to or nothing blocking that sweet sound of the intake. So I do really apologize for the corrupted footage that I couldn't get out to you guys, and the installation of the 4-barrel and the removal of the 2-barrel manifold also. Yeah, it was very unfortunate. But aside from that, I hope you liked this video, and comment, rate, and subscribe, and yeah, see you later then.